Welcome to the Big Talk. Our guest today is Dr. Bala Takaya, who is the president of the Middle Belt Forum. You're welcome to this show, sir.
I'm glad to be here.
Well, I want to start by asking you your sense of the recent incidents of killings, herdsmen, or the Fulani herdsmen, as some people prefer to call it, and the locals around the Middle Belt. What is your sense of what is going on right now?
Well, Sam, it's a very sad situation that is happening in the Middle Belt region. Something we never expected is happening. We understand by the pronouncements of government officials, particularly the security agencies, that some foreigners are crossing our borders with sophisticated weapons, and it is they that are coming to despoil our people, to kill our people in their sleep, to chase our people out of their farms, to destroy their farm crops, and feed the harvested ones to their animals. And they are behaving with impunity, something we never expected. Things of this nature are happening over and over in Adamawa, in Nasarawa, in Taraba, in Kaduna, southern Kaduna, recurringly shed blood as if there is anything that they have done that is criminal. These people are not beyond us, like has been demonstrated in Numan and other places. They are not beyond us. But the government is always, not interested in us defending ourselves. There is a clear example that we can defend ourselves successfully when Boko Haram invaded northern Adamawa and Borno areas. The local hunters with their den guns and double barrel guns, together with the help of the youth, were able to roll back the Boko Haram and liberated the cities that they took over. And it was after our people that were able to do that, that the military who ran away came back and then recognized the fact that the vigilant are good. But what would we hear? Later on, they began to say the vigilant should be disarmed. Disarmed to do what? So that our people will now remain empty-handed and easy prey. And now, after the present administration demonstrated some possibility that it could roll back Boko Haram. Each time there is an incident of this nature, sometimes McBurn will come and own responsibility and begin to accuse the local community and even suggest that the killing is deserved. Like the 70 people that were mowed down in Benue, McBurn said they deserve it because this is their response to the grazing, anti-grazing law. And how can a people go and kill, human beings because they are protesting against a law when there are clear methods of settling disputes of this nature? Why can't they take the government to court if they think that what the government is doing is wrong? And why even promise that more killings are coming unless that law is rescinded?
Yes.
Can anything like this happen in a civilized country? And therefore there are people behind this, and security agencies are not asking questions. I believe they also read the McBurn stories.
Yes.
Why shouldn't they go and call McBurn to come and explain?
Do you think that the McBurn men or officers should be prosecuted for what they said? Do you think that they have become complicit?
Of course, if we have, a security breakdown of this nature involving lives is concerned, nobody should be spared. Everybody that has some remote connection should be properly interrogated to be absorbed or to be inculpated.
The issue that it is foreign bureaus that are doing this thing is a point that you have been stressing. I want you to clarify if there is actually a distinction between the foreigners that are coming and the locals. Is it that the foreigners do the damage and the locals just look the other way, or there is some kind of complicity?
I may not rule out the possibility of complicity in certain areas, because this is a complicated relationship altogether between among them. But the local Fulani, we have lived with them for hundreds of years very peacefully. Normally, the local Fulani will move, identify a community land where they can graze, and they would go to the chief of the community and request for permission to graze their cattle around that community when the land is not under cultivation, and or to graze on the offals of the cultivated crops. And when the land is needed during the rainy season, they move apart. And we have cooperated in that manner such that they depend on us for the crops that we produce. They supply cattle products like milk and butter, and also the cattle droppings, which is considered useful as manure for the crops. By arrangement, they will, raise their cattle on our land during the fallow period so that the manure can fertilize those lands. And when we need the land, they will move away. They also send their children to the schools that we go. And some of their children today are civil servants. Some of them are professors in even veterinary medicine faculties in universities. Some of them are medical doctors. And some of them are even local government officials.
Yeah, you've said something very interesting. The question now is, who are these people in the north who are doing it? I had a story that in those days, the Fulanis, who were herdsmen, tended to move from place to place, and they saw it as their lifestyle. And they passed it to their children and then to their children's children, and it became so over generations. But what happened in the intervening years has been the onrush or the encroachment of capitalism, where some people who had a lot of money had to get a lot of cattle and therefore employ fewer herdsmen. So this has put a lot of the families and the herdsmen out of job, and they have become of no use to themselves and to the society, and they become angry. And that has created part of the problem, that these so-called cattle capitalists have become the source of this problem. How would you assess that argument?
The analysis may not be too correct, though there may be some facts behind it. The truth is the influx of the Fulani is not as a result of any local businessman or bourgeoisie acquiring more cows and putting the local ones out of business. No. If anything, the local acquisitions open opportunities for the families of the local Fulani to take care of the cows that are bought by the local bourgeoisie. Instead, what is happening is there is a lot of influx from across the border because the certification meant that they lost their cattle out there because you cannot graze cows on sand. You need grass, you need water. And the drought, which they helped in creating by chopping down trees and damaging the surface of the earth, has made it difficult for their Fulani for their cattle to multiply. On the other hand, our local Fulani politicians who don't have the numbers when it comes to the electoral contest want to populate their own kind by bringing them from Mali to come and settle them in Nigeria without following due processes. There is an ECOWAS protocol of movement of persons. They do not follow that. There is a natural method of how people can migrate into other countries and naturalize. They don't want to follow that. Instead, they want to bring them in concentrated form and house them or settle them in some kind of colonies. And when you talk about colonies, colony by nature is a settlement of persons that are loyal to somewhere else, but not to the local community, and which will therefore spread their influence and take control of the local place that they have settled. This is my understanding of it from political science point of view. And I believe this is the analysis that fits into the situation that we are facing today. So it's a matter of politics. So that government looks the other way worries me.
So you're saying in earnest that it is absence of water that has caused this problem because of the desert's encroachment and the death of their cattle. Because many of their cattle are now dead, they become homeless. I want to be very clear, they become jobless. So they have no cattle anymore. So they are now looking for what to do with their lives. And they have been their idleness has been taken advantage of by the northern politicians.
Do we owe them responsibility in Mali or in Chad or in Niger? This is their country. These are their countries. Nigeria is Nigeria for Nigerians. The Fulani that have chosen to settle in Nigeria are Nigerians. And we have taken good care of them. And they are doing very well. Why should the politicians among them now begin to think of populating their numbers by bringing such persons from those countries in order to settle them? I mean, Israel is a country in the desert. It is producing, it's one of the countries with the largest, heads of cattle in the world. It produces beef and export to Europe beyond what it can, use at home. And there are desert areas. They are not more desert than Niger. They are not more desert than Mali. They are not more desert than Chad. Why can't Chadians, Malians, and Nigerians find a way of, raising their cattle the way the Israelis do? Why can't they tap the groundwater? Why can't they why can't they formulate the cattle feed the way that they are doing in advanced countries? Why not? Why is Australia not crossing into Nigeria to come and graze their cows on our grass? Australia is a desert area, just like Niger, just like Chad. Why are they not running away from Australia?
What you're saying in earnest, sir, is that the argument being advanced by those in the north, including the recent argument by the Minister of Defense, that the building of infrastructure, the building of roads, and the occlusion of the routes that the herdsmen usually took in the past was the cause of the problem is actually a red herring. You're saying that that is not the real problem. The real problem is that these people who come from outside the country have no jobs and they have been taken advantage of by the politicians to populate the area. So the problem is not that they are looking for grazing routes, but the problem is not grazing routes. The problem is that there are criminals and jobless people who politicians are taking advantage of.
That's my take.
How popular is that your take?
That's my take, exactly.
How popular is that your take among the elites in the Middle Belt, in Adamawa, in Plateau, in Benue? Is this a position they hold?
That's the explanation that we can only have for what is happening. And that's why we are being cleansed out of our own land so that our land can be freed up for these people. But that is my own take on it.
But does that not?
I believe that the politicians that are doing that also seem to have so much influence over government that government cannot use its security structures and powers to control the influx of these people and look the other way when our people are being killed. That is my position. So
does that not contradict the necessity for the anti-grazing law? Because it is not a question, it is not an issue of grazing or no grazing, because those who want to graze and who are prevented from grazing are actually not the problem. Because the problem are people who are not even grazing at all, but idle men with AK-47 who are hiding in the bushes.
Precisely, but it doesn't negate the anti-grazing law. The anti-grazing law is a law that modernizes cattle breeding. Anti-grazing law will enable the local Fulani who ask for permission to get some swaths of land to settle on by our communities to own and certificate these lands in form of ranches, so that during the dry season they don't have to move far away. During the rainy season they don't have to move far away. They will stay in one place and we will have quality beef and we have quality cattle products. And in the process, the cattle economy will be more productive for Nigeria. So, and when our Fulani, local Fulani are properly settled, they will be adding value to Nigeria, not killing their hosts the way that the foreigners are doing now.
So so that means the crisis has nothing to do with grazing. That's what I want you to clarify. It means that the crisis of killings in the Middle Belt, in Benue, in Plateau, in Adamawa, in Taraba, the killings have nothing to do with grazing. It has to do with criminals running rampant in the bushes around the north. So why are we talking about ranching? Why are we talking about colonies when the problem has nothing to do with that?
Ranching and colonies are two different issues. Ranching came about as a solution to the open grazing which they are hiding behind. And they are hiding behind the fact that because the local Fulani also move a little bit apart from the communities they are settled whenever the land is required for cropping. And therefore, the people that have created this situation for us are hiding behind this fact that the Fulani that are coming in transhumans to pass through grazing routes, and they need some land of their own to settle in pure type, not with our communities this time. But the cattle Fulani that are ours, settled by us, have been part and parcel of our communities. Okay. In local government elections, in national elections, they participate. But what the miscreants that are trying to import criminals to come and settle them in pure types in various states want is some kind of colonies, which is different from a ranch, ranches. They want to create colonies. It is not the cattle that matter, but a settlement for the people that they are bringing over. And they will now use federal government of Nigeria resources to build infrastructure for them, to build roads for them, to build facilities for them. These things that have never been provided for our local people, they want to do that for the criminals that are coming from outside without proper documentation. So why should Nigeria do that kind of thing to itself? So what? The issue of colony is different from ranching. And if the Nigeris or the Malians or whatever that come, if they come legally and they still want to do cattle business, they can behave like our local cattle, Fulani, and acquire animals and settle by our communities, and they can, put them on the ranch. Not necessarily to go in concentrated form to colonize 5,000 hectares or something like that in each state. That is larger than most local government areas.
Yes.
And that is acquisition or expropriation of people's land without, explanation. And cattle economy is a business. Cattle rearing is business. Why should other people's land be taken away for somebody else's business? Why should federal government money be used to develop piece of land for the business of somebody else, and to the disadvantage of the former local owners? These are some of the questions that are being asked.
Now the question is, when the president met with some elders of Benue State, and he said, let them accommodate their countrymen, he could not have been referring to foreigners. So was the president not aware that this is a problem fomented by foreigners? Or did he believe that the people who were thieves or who were locals were the ones doing the damage?
My understanding is that the president was not even well educated about what was going on. And
he
was not even aware, probably.
He owns cattle, sir.
That he was not even, sir?
He owns cattle.
He owns cattle, but in ranch.
Yeah.
But they are in a ranch.
But it's
so
in the
why
business.
Should others?
Well, it's
why
in the
should
business.
Other Fulani like him? Why should? That's right. So why should other Fulani like him not ranch their own? Is it because they are not president? Is it because they are not elites? And he is not aware, or at that time that he met with the elders, he was not aware that the people causing trouble for Nigeria were the invaders, the infiltrators, the criminals from across the border. The Sultan of Sokoto drew the attention of the securities and the government in a very subtle manner to show them that those who are doing the killings, serial killings and mass killings in the Middle Belt, are foreigners that have crossed the border, not the local Fulanis that are settled with us. The security never took the initiative to investigate what the Sultan was talking about. The Sultan is not government. The Fulani, whether they are in Niger or Mali, they are his people. He cannot come out and begin to drive them away. But government has a way of containing them. But government didn't do that. Until the DSS now revealed, or at least removed the cover on the foreign Fulani and told the nation that they have discovered that there are some aspect of Islamic State in West Africa that are doing the killings in the name of Fulani graziers. This was coming after the president was asking for some kind of accommodation for the local Fulani. The local Fulani have already been accommodated. What Governor Otam and Governor Darius is trying to do in Benue and Taraba is to simply say, okay, let's domesticate the Fulani cattle in a range system so that there will be no roaming of cows behind which these foreigners will hide as Fulani in transhumans. And that is precisely what is happening. And then it will be in the interest of the Fulani, it will be in the interest of our people.
No, but in a sense, you are saying that the real local Fulanis move with their cattle, and then these foreigners move behind them. Is that what you are saying?
What I'm saying is they imitate them.
With
so
cattle?
That it will look as if it is the same as the local, as if they are part of us. Then, mind you, most of the cattle that they drive into our farms are stolen cows.
Okay.
And some of those cows are stolen from our local Fulani. They are thieves. Ask any Fulani grazier, local Fulani grazier, he will tell you that these are criminals, they are thieves. They are the ones doing the cattle rustling. It is not the natives. The natives don't know how to handle cows. Give a cow to a native, he cannot handle it, let alone a herd, let alone to go and rustle, a herd. So definitely the rustlers are these foreigners that come to pinch out, the cows from our local, Fulani and drive them across the country to go and sell in Lagos, in Port Harcourt, in Enugu and other places, in order for them to raise more arms. This is what is happening. So the cows that they are driving may look like our cows, in addition to the few that they are coming across the boundary with. That is the reality.
So you are aware that the DSS and the security people know this. So if they know this, why does the president not know it?
Well, why should they have briefed the president when things have gone bad? And why should the president not call them to order and, in fact, dismiss some of them? Because it is some kind of unpatriotism for people in charge of security to know there is this fact on the ground and have not called the attention of the commander-in-chief, their commander-in-chief, that there are foreigners invading us. And to just come out only when there is an outcry. And there is outcry everywhere and there is bloodshed. For them now to say it is the Islamic State in West Africa that is doing this. Why didn't they say this before?
So you don't believe it is the Islamic State that is doing it?
Well, that is my fear. Because it appears the president is a prisoner and he doesn't know much of what is going on and he's not been properly briefed. And yet the security infrastructure around him are people that he said he trusts completely. And he appointed them, skewing the appointment even though unconstitutionally, because it violated the federal character of appointments or spread of positions. He collected those that he thinks he can trust and use. But it is these very people now that have failed totally. My own position is he must remove them now. And he must appoint young persons that understand security in modern sense. These anachronistic people that are there using security only as a means of control of even the government of which they are part of need to go. That is my position.
Okay, on that note, sir.
Because they have done damage enough, and they have damaged the credibility of Mr. President. And if Mr. President wants to clear his image that he is not part of this, situation, he has to sack them now.
Okay. Well, that's a note on which we can end this very interesting conversation. I want to thank you very much, sir, for coming and for giving us your position on and also representing the position of those in the Middle Belt, where a lot of this carnage and turbulence is taking place. Thank you very much for being with us. Thank you for watching the show today, and until next week, be good.